All right, it's draft week. We've been talking about it ever since the season ended. Now it ramps up for good. There have been several hundred mock drafts. So let's get into it with Mark Kaboly, who's provided his own mock drafts, or 10.
What stinks, mock drafts or yours?
17,
all of them.
17,
all of them.
32, 49. Now, I think there's a potential for trade here, but they've added 12 guys in this offseason. What has that done to their draft board?
Nothing. I don't think it does anything to their draft board. I think it just leaves every position where they don't have to feel needed to go get somebody. You know, they got.
So take whoever the best case
for the most
available.
part.
I would hope Osiris Torrance is maybe off the board now because they've signed every guard in the East or the Western Hemisphere.
But remember, DeCastro in 12, nobody thought he'd fall to 24, and all of a sudden he was there.
Well, I'm saying, but Torrance isn't thought of that kind of a player, is what I mean.
No.
Yeah,
So,
there was I guess if Skronsky fell to 17, they'd probably take him in his T-Rex
They pretty
arms.
much told us who's going to be in those first 3 rounds by the visits and the people they go see. You know it's going to be tackle. You know it's going to be corner. It might be, I don't know, inside linebacker, defensive tackle. So we know that's there.
Edge rusher, if one's available, who they happen to like.
I'm not a big edge rusher at 17. I'm not paying a third
guy. Do you think Van Ness is an edge rusher in their mind, or do you think he's Van Ness?
That's what I'm
Yes,
referring to,
I think they are. He is.
So he's not like a 3-4.
Why would they take him over corner and tackle?
I don't think. Well, it all depends on how the draft breaks, and I think that's what it will be. And I agree with you. If that draft breaks to a way where they're going to have to move up 2 or 3 spots, I don't think Omar hesitates. I think he moves up and gets the guy he wants. I think they go get a tackle at 12, 13, 14. Let everybody else come to them, say cornerback.
What would they give up?
Give up a second next year, a third, probably a second and a third.
I want to keep that 32 this year, though. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, no, Jason, take
No,
this
no,
one,
no.
please.
I'm just not in favor of moving up. I don't think you need to. I think we're talking about quality players here that they can get at 17. What's the value are they getting moving up to 13 or 14? Mark?
There's 3 tackles as you want, and they all might be gone. So if you feel that
but if
need
they're all
where
gone,
you
doesn't Porter fall?
How about if those 3 guys are gone too? Then you find yourself in no man's land. Then you say, if you're in that no man's land, am I going to sit and just wait for the second-tier cornerback, or am I going to go find somebody?
So here's the question I would have: are they one of those teams now analytically that doesn't view left tackle as being overtly more important than right tackle? Because Darnell Wright might be there as a guy who mostly is a right tackle, and a lot like Brian Baldinger, who I respect a lot. You know, that guy loves Darnell Wright. He says, don't worry about this idea that he's lazy or,
That's a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, but I've heard people say that was very
Wasn't that a
early.
red flag with Pickens, too? That he was an attitude problem?
I think
not as much.
People were just worried that he had too much of that dog in him, as we found out.
Yeah.
What about Jalen Carter? There's another guy who comes with some red flags. Now, if he's available, I don't think he will be. But let's say you have a choice, Mark, of trading up a few spots to get Paris Johnson Jr. or Jalen Carter.
I would still go with the tackle, but I think Jalen Carter will be gone between 5 and 9. That's just too expensive.
I'll be shocked if he goes past 5. I think Carroll's going to take him.
It's too expensive at that point.
I think it is, and I think he is a legitimate risk. He's also probably the best pure player in the draft, but he is a risk. The ideal scenario for me, I've just hooked in. I want Broderick Jones to fall to them. If they had to move up 2 or 3 spots to get him, I'd be fine with that. If it only cost them the 49th pick, go get a guy like Cam Smith from South Carolina. The thing I don't want them to do is reach at corner in this draft, because I think that's a very deep cornerback draft, and I think you can get a guy who's going to be pretty impactful at 32 rather than try to stretch for one at 17.
Jason, let me ask you about Allen Robinson. He was brought in as a wide receiver. He's had injuries. He's not put up numbers at all in L.A. They're trying to get rid of money, and they made it easy on themselves by picking up this contract, which is basically being picked up by L.A.
Yep.
Does that mean they won't draft a wide receiver, or do you think at some point of this draft, it doesn't have to be obviously day 1 or 2, but do you think they'll still try to look at a wide receiver?
I would think and hope they would, Pomp. I mean, they've got a pretty good track record of drafting wide receivers later in drafts. I mean, I would look 5, 6, 7, something, take a flyer. I mean, I like the Allen Robinson move a lot. They gave up basically nothing to get him. I think he can add something to that offense. But if you have somebody fall to them in the draft, I think that would be silly to not try to pounce on it.
I've got to do the one mean guy thing here. I think AB being so great as a 6th-round pick has
it screwed him.
It's skewed.
It has warped everybody's perception of this idea that they're good late in the draft. If you say they're good in rounds 2, 3, and 4, because most of the young money crew was. But I've heard what you said. A lot of people have said they can find one of these guys like they just picking an apple off the tree here.
James Washington, Sammy Watkins.
I mean,
if somebody's there in the 4th round, I'd love to see them take that guy and not count on Allen Robinson.
To me, the absolute sweet spot is 80 for Cedric Tillman, but he's probably not lasting beyond there. And if you don't pick one there, then you go to 120 and say, who fits our little mold that we do have? Because I do think they've figured out a mold, Mark, for that position that they like.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to depend. I think they do have to go get another wide receiver because you look long term with receivers. You look past this year, Deontay might not be around in a year or two. His contract's up. Who knows if Allen Robinson's just going to be a total bum? Who knows if Calvin Austin's going to be a total bum? So you're leaving with George Pickens hoping to make that next jump, then you have nothing. So you're going to have to continue to add to that.
Okay.
Oh, hodgepodge, nothing, including history.
We have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the two quarterbacks who are still in limbo out there, and that would be Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. And then after that, the Hall of Fame class for the Pirates. Who's not in it? Who should be in it? That's all coming up right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.